what feels out, out of place here. And you can actually look at your tarot deck face up and ask, as whether you pray or you're meditating, and say, what card seems to match how I'm feeling right now? And then you just look one by one, and eventually you'll find a card will just jump out at you, and you'll resonate with it, and you put it to the side, and then you can just kind of have a conversation with it, or you can journal in a notebook and say, okay, why does this card seem to be calling out to me? And then you just start journaling. You just start free writing. Is it the image? Does it remind you of something? And you just pour out your heart, and you see what you've written. And then you can always look up, look consciously through the deck as to how do you get through it, or how do you address that feeling. And then you can look at a second card to kind of move you from point A to point B. Or sometimes there's a combination of the random use of tarot cards, where, let's say, you're not sure what's going on in your life, but something there seems to be a disturbance in the force, to use a Star Wars analogy, even though we don't like Star Wars, Gary. And so, you shuffle the deck and you pull a random card, and, you journal and you contemplate, and if you want, you can look at a book like my book, Naked Tarot, or what have you, look through the keywords and see what resonates. And then maybe for the solution part or the remedy part, then you look face up and say, okay, what card do I feel would best remedy the situation? And then you trust your spirit or your intuition or God, whatever you want to call it, as you're looking consciously through the images, and you pick, one or even sometimes more cards to, help with your solution. And I, also have an ebook out called Affect Your Reality with Tarot Cards, where I provide like 20 affirmations for every card. So you can consciously, take a card and you can, put a piece of tape on it, or if you don't want to ruin your tarot cards, you can always just photocopy it for your own use and, tape a picture of it on your mirror or your refrigerator and put it in your wallet or what have you, is a meditation for what you would like to attract more of in your life, or what you would like to tackle next to find a solution for. And so there's many ways you can use tarot. Sometimes authors use tarot to create characters, to map the hero's journey. That's why I also have a writing prompt in Naked Tarot, but I also have writing prompts in our Coffee Tarot book. I have 5 writing prompts for every single card in our Coffee Tarot book, and I also have writing prompt for a Snowland deck, because as a writer, I'm aware of how fellow writers, especially fiction writers and even poets, like to use tarot cards to, come up with characters and interactions and villains and plot twists and resolutions. And so you can use tarot for that as well. And even artists can use it, and musicians, if they want to find some insight on how to, add some new life to their creation. So tarot is just kind of like a pocket therapist. It's an amazing tool of 78 cards that you can use in many ways. There is no wrong way to use tarot.
Now, I got to ask you a question. Now, I'm going back in my first marriage. So we're going way back in time. And I met my first wife. She was a former Miss Washington, a beautiful lady. And, I was just instantly attracted to her. And, on our second date, she wanted to go. This is before I found out she was into witchcraft. She wanted to go to a fortune teller. So we went to this so-called gypsy fortune teller who was reading cards and says, well, you guys will get married within a month. You're going to, all this stuff. Well, you know what? We did get married, but she was wrong on everything else.
Well, we're humans, and so there's that aspect that, none of us know the future or what's going on 100%. I kind of liken those of us who are good tarot readers as trained meteorologists. We can say what the weather patterns are, and we have a good idea of what the barometric pressure is going to be and what direction the winds are going to go. But as you see a lot of times with hurricanes coming, and then they just totally change course. So it is with energy and spiritual paths. And sometimes that's why I think it's really important to use tarot in a more empowering and mindful way, because you have to be careful that you're not led by tarot, I feel. because then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. How many people bring the tarot reading to pass because they put so much stock into it, because they put their energy and their attention. I really believe where attention goes, energy flows. And so, if you want to bring more of something into your life, then you focus on that. You don't focus on your lack and what you don't have, because, then that's going to grow bigger. If for nothing then, but because that's what your attention's on. But again, we're just, tarot readers are not, all-knowing. We're not omniscient. And so, it's possible for us to make mistakes as well. And that's
well, she was a gypsy, and maybe she was interested in the $20 I had to pay.
Well, that's another thing. Whenever you go to a tarot reader, just like we were talking about earlier in the conversation about doing your homework with publishers, you have to do your homework with tarot readers. You get what you pay for, but also it's not necessarily exorbitant. Like my rates are really cheap. I give tarot readings $15 or whatever a person has their budget for. And here I am. I'm a tarot expert. So I don't believe in charging people an arm and a leg, but I do believe it's important that you vet who you're going to. I mean, if somebody just has a flashy website, and let's say they don't have a testimonials page, and or they don't have a picture of themselves. Now, not everybody needs to have a picture of themselves, especially, if they have a day job that goes in contrast with their tarot life.
You mean like Mystic Jane could be a guy in China?
Well, it can be.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing online. That's why it's like, buyer beware. You have to do your homework anytime you're going to fork over money to someone. And, you check out to see if they have a testimonials page, see if maybe they're endorsed by an organization like the Tarot Guild. Like I'm considered a tarot master with the Tarot Guild, and I have a stamp of approval. But apart from that, I'm a published author. So, that shows, okay, this lady has got some experience with tarot. She's not just a fly-by-nighter who opened up a free blog, and she has no experience, and she's just interested in taking my money. They can look and see, oh, wow, she's been, reviewing tarot decks on Amazon and is an Amazon Hall of Fame reviewer for the last 15 years. She's written these many books. She's been on this many radio shows. She's, has this, dozens of testimonials on her website. She has an ethics page. So, you just do your homework, see if somebody has an ethics page, if they've been endorsed, if they have testimonials, if they have any publications or experience, and, you just have to do your homework, really.
Oh, it sounds like it. Like what was really bad, like on eBay, sometimes when you check out a seller, if you don't look at it really careful, you see all these positive, reviews. And then all of a sudden you realize all these positive reviews are from one or two people. So you got to really watch that too. I mean, probably looking for mistakes.
Well, that is true. And also with eBay, positive reviews can be by the person that you bought something from.
Oh, right.
So you have to look at the reviews and say, does it say, A+++ buyer? Please come again. So you can have, lots of reviews on there, but it's you as a buyer, not you as someone who sells. Personally, I would never get any tarot readings off of eBay. I don't know if they even do that anymore. I thought that they had shut down tarot readings on eBay. But I know Etsy still allows it, and it's also good to see if they have an actual website, on their own. But again, reviews are a way, like with Etsy, Etsy's pretty reputable in that a person can only review a person's tarot reading abilities if they themselves have purchased it. So in other words, it's not like Amazon.com where any Tom, Dick, and Harry can jump on and review a book whether or not they have bought it or even read it. Whereas at least with Etsy, if you see a review of a tarot reading and you see that they have, let's say, 10, 15, or hundreds of reviews saying, wow, this person really took their time with me, or they were very accurate, well, then you can, that's reputable, because they don't just, Etsy doesn't accept reviews from just anybody on the street. They only have the reviewing option for people who actually paid the money and had the transaction of a tarot reading. And so, but again, buyer beware. But that is a good safeguard, at least with tarot readers through Etsy, is that you can look and see if they have had reviews and if they've been positive or what have you. Or in someone like my case, if they have a website and they have an ethics page and a testimonials page, and if they have publications to their name, if they've created decks, or if they're a deck reviewer, or if they have a stamp of approval from a tarot organization like a Tarot Guild or what have you, those you still can't guarantee, that you're going to get a reputable or even a qualified and accurate tarot reader. But at least if you take some steps to do your homework, at least you've kind of narrowed down the possibilities to have a more positive, reading experience with someone if you take those steps.
Now, Janet, our time is almost up. Why don't you tell the listeners how they can find you on the internet?
Well, if they Google my name, Janet Boyer, you will see 2 pages at least of all my stuff. Or you can just go to janetboyer.com or boyercreations.com, either way, and then you'll be able to access everything I've talked about. You'll be able to see the tabs on the navigation menu for the decks and the books I have, and I do tarot readings still, and I'm making jewelry as a relaxing creative outlet these days, so we have an Etsy store for that. My son makes hand-sewn tarot bags, and my husband, of course, does the original art, with our tarot decks. So if you go to janetboyer.com or Google my name, you will be able to find me and all the stuff that I do.
Again, tell everybody about your newest book, again, where they can find it, the name of it. And it seems like, I've read probably a fourth of it because I do read everybody's book. I get so many of them, kid. It's, every day I go to the mailbox and sometimes I'm excited. I will say, I have to say it again. When I opened up that book out of that box, I was like, oh, what is this? But you know what? It's from what I read, it is interesting. It's different. It's a different concept compared to some of the other books I get. It seems to hit home, and it makes a lot more sense, and it's easier to understand.
Yes, it's very practical, I feel. I mean, I bring the breadth of my experience to bear on this. My love for pop culture, like I'll throw in Twilight Zone episodes, as references and what have you, and all this kind of good stuff, and famous art pieces or poems or movies or what have you. But it's also quite scholarly. It's not one of those books you could just read through. I mean, it's over 100-some thousand pages. It's a reference book. And so it's called Naked Tarot, Sassy Stripped-Down Advice. And you can find it in any bookstore, and if it's not in your bookstore, you can just ask them to order it for you. It's on Amazon, Book Depository, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold. If you want a signed copy, you can get it through my Etsy store, shayboyer.etsy.com, but you can find that through janetboyer.com, so don't worry about remembering the URL. And you can find our Coffee Tarot companion book and our Snowland deck companion book, as well as the decks themselves, through janetboyer.com, or you can find them on Etsy.
Oh, wow. Hey, Janet, it's been a pleasure to have you back on the show. I mean, after, I found out about your latest book, I had to have you back.
Oh, thank you. You are such a delight. I love talking with you. The time goes so fast. I could just sit here for hours just talking. I love it. And thank you so much for having me again. Oh,
yeah, and we'll get you on next time. Is there any other books in the thoughts?
Well, I have sworn that I'm going to retire from tarot writing, and much to the dismay of my fans. And I'm just taking the next few months off to create jewelry, and I'm going to do that National Novel Writing Month, November 1st. I'm going to write a cozy mystery. I'm going to try to anyway. Try my hand at fiction and just kind of enjoy my family, enjoy the fall and the holidays, and we'll see what January holds. But I think I have some self-help books up my sleeve still, definitely, but I'm not so sure I'm going to be writing any more tarot. I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and I'm just kind of burnt out, quite frankly. I mean, I have more things that I could write about, but I'm just tired. I need a bit of a break from the cards in terms of writing in such a scholarly, detailed manner. So we'll see, but I'm always creating something. So,
okay, that's important.
I can guarantee that I'll be creating something.
Now, do you have a lot of candy for Halloween already set up and all that stuff?
That is so funny that you said that. My neighbor, I invited her over. I made some homemade lasagna yesterday. I invited her over, and it was Halloween, trick-or-treating in our neighborhood, and she brought us 3 bags of candy. So after dinner today, we dumped them in the middle of the table, and so, we were like divvying up who wants what.